Yes, all my beautiful people. Welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee, and today we are going to talk about the Karen Read trial. Now, first of all, I want to welcome everyone back to the channel who has been watching this channel, and welcome anyone new who is new to this channel. And thank you all for your patience in waiting for a new video. And I want to talk about this trial because I know it has been a long, lagging trial. And let me just tell you, it has been that way. It has been kind of almost kind of boring. But if you keep up, which I have been keeping up now, let me say that this trial is actually kind of like a movie. First of all, you have to look at it that way because you cannot make this stuff up. Seriously, you guys. Actually, you can, because it has been a movie. When I watch this trial, it is like watching a movie. It is, if you've seen Copland, if you've seen The Departed, if you've seen Street Kings, that's the kind of movie this is. Everyone in this trial is connected, and it is so crazy because you think, like, her defense is that she's being framed, right? And you would think, like, there's no way that everyone can frame this woman. But there are three possibilities to me that could have happened. And maybe even more. There could be more. So I would love to hear in the comments what you think could have happened to John O'Keefe. Because again, I think, as I've been saying all along, John O'Keefe is getting lost in all of this, okay? Poor John O'Keefe, his entire family, they are suffering through this trial. They have no answers. There's still more questions to this entire situation going on than there ever have been before. So, but, oh gosh, so much going on in this trial. So let's talk about who all is connected. John O'Keefe, okay, is obviously the connecting main person of this, okay? Karen Read is his girlfriend. No one really even knew who she was. All of the people who have been on the stand have no idea, or that was their first time meeting her, or what have you. But you would think that the way they paint the picture, that they were all these great, wonderful pals and friends, and they were all hanging out together, and that they all knew each other really, really well. But when they get on the stand and they talk to these people, it's like they didn't even know who John O'Keefe was. It's like they weren't even friends, that they just kind of like bumped into each other at this bar and then kind of just lackadaisically invited him over to their house. A couple of these guys are actually Boston police officers, but they only knew of John O'Keefe. They didn't really talk to him or hang out with him, or weren't really even his friends. So what I found kind of strange is the other day they put on the stand Chris Albert. Chris Albert owns a pizza shop. And they ask Chris Albert, the defense does, did you know John O'Keefe? And he was like, well, yeah, I kind of knew him. We were neighbors, but I didn't really like have his phone number or anything. So the defense says, did you guys ever exchange phone numbers? And he says, no, we never did. That night that they hung out at the bars, John O'Keefe kind of came into his pizza shop and was like, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? What have you? And they said, you know, we're going to go to this bar. You guys want to come hang out? Sure, we'll hang out, what have you. But now it's very contradictory because he did say they never exchanged phone numbers. They never hung out before, this, that, and the other. But then later on in the testimony, it gets really hazy because the next thing you know, they're talking about how Chris Albert and his wife have house sat for him, and they have his phone number saved in their phone as Mr. Niederbacher, a character from a show that's the Get Off My Lawn guy. And I'm like, wait a minute, didn't you just say earlier that you guys have never exchanged phone numbers? So I'm really, really confused. And then they're even sending pictures back and forth of them crossing over his fence as a joke because he's the get off my lawn guy. Because apparently he told their kid, don't cross over my lawn to get to your house. And he was just kidding with the kid, apparently. But, you know, he upset the kid and then he brought the kid candy, whatever. But as they're trying to distance their relationship with John O'Keefe, then they contradict themselves and say, oh yeah, well, we house sat for him. We've exchanged pictures. There's all this evidence coming forward that they knew him better than they're saying they did. So it's kind of weird. Very, very, very weird. Then what else is weird is that the guy who owned the house, Brian Albert, sold his house, got rid of his phone. He got a new phone. Chris Albert got rid of his phone, got a new phone. Everyone on the stand is like, they're lying. They're completely distancing themselves. Like when the prosecution asks them questions, they're like, yes, everything was great. Everything was fine. Yep, we got home at this time. They have such a good memory. Everything is so fantastic and so great. And oh yeah, John was a great guy. We knew of him. We knew how he adopted his niece and nephew. We knew of his terrible tragedy. We had great respect for him. We knew of him, but we weren't really great friends. We worked in the same, police department, but we didn't know who he was really, this, that, and the other. And everyone says the same thing, that as far as they knew that night, that John and Karen were getting along great. They didn't really talk to her, but then there's video that shows Karen and Brian having an actual conversation with each other. But when the defense asked them questions, they're like, oh, I mean, I might be looking in her direction, but I'm not actually talking to her. I don't know who she is. I mean, I guess that was his significant other. They act like they don't even know who she is. But then at the scene, the women at the scene are trying to calm her down, and they're acting like, oh my gosh, like they're best friends, they're all buddies, and they're all, like, oh Karen, it's so baffling. And then when the defense cross-examines them, suddenly their memories are just like, I don't remember. I can't recall. I don't know. I don't remember. And I'm just like, what is happening right now? And it's every single one of them. It's not even just like one, it's all of them. And then some other girl gets on the stand, a friend that was at the house, because it was Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday that same night. She gets on the stand and suddenly somebody remembers that she saw a blob in the snow as they were leaving. It was about 5 or 6 feet long. I'm serious, you guys. This stuff is like a Scorsese film or a Francis Ford Coppola. I mean, seriously, like you can't. This is a made for Lifetime movie crap. I mean, it just is craziness. Seriously, if you haven't seen Street Kings, if you haven't seen The Departed, if you haven't seen Copland, you got to see it, because this is literally, I mean, The Town, I mean, any of that stuff. This is it. This is it right here. This is some cop cover up, all together now, stories lined up like nobody's business. And just when you think you might have a legitimate witness up there, or somebody that's up there that seems like they have their story together, as soon as the defense gets up to question them, their story falls apart. They're like, oh, I don't remember. I don't know. I was drunk. I can't remember. That was over 2.5 years ago. I don't know. But you just remembered literally to the T everything when the prosecution asks you. So I'm literally baffled at these people's story. And then what's crazy is that they act like they don't know each other. That's the craziest part, but they're all related. I wouldn't call them a friend, but they're my first cousin. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So then I wish the one thing I wish the defense would do is stop talking about the dog. The dog, Chloe, okay, apparently, because they're saying John O'Keefe had these scratch marks on his arm, they look like cuts actually, more than a dog mark, because they're saying the dog Chloe was not friendly. They're trying to reel this dog Chloe into the conversation. I wish they'd leave the dog out of it because the dog to me really is irrelevant. So I wish they would just let the dog go. Drop the dog. Just get it out of the way. But it is kind of weird that the family got rid of the dog. They got rid of their house. They sold their house. They got rid of all their phones. Everyone seems to have no messages. It seems that the cops never talked to anyone in the family or any of the people that were at the house until way later in the year. These people were talking to each other, speaking to each other for long periods of time. It seems to be they all had attorneys. It's crazy. They all had attorneys. So I don't know. I mean, obviously you would protect yourself. I say this all the time. Like, I would never speak to cops without an attorney, whether I was guilty or not of anything, because trust me, I know interviews and interrogations, cops will twist you up in no time. So always be represented. But they all have attorneys. They all, also some of these people were present for each other's interviews. So weird. But also, the only person to say that they saw, which if you didn't know Karen Reed, they're saying they don't even know her, right? They just assumed she's John O'Keefe's girlfriend or significant other. They're just assuming that. They don't know. How would you know it's her car that pulled up into the driveway or at the house to drop them, come over? None of these people are even saying, they're all saying John O'Keefe never entered their house. But there's only one person, a non-relative, who was at the party that says she saw Karen Reed's, looks like a black Tahoe SUV, some type of vehicle, pull up, back up, pull up, back up, pull up, and then leave. So she's saying that was Karen and John. How would you know that? You don't even know her. You don't even know John. How do you know that? Seems strange to me. None of this is adding up. So I'm finding this entire story that they're trying to put together very strange. I just think it's odd. I also think it's odd when they make objections and they don't have to give a reason why. They're just objecting for the record. I really find that strange in Massachusetts that that's what they do. I also find it strange that, well, that's just strange. The judge is like, she literally does not ever, she rarely overrules an objection. She's just like, sustain. So I really feel like there are three things that could have happened. Okay. Either John went into the party and there was a fight and they're trying to blame it on Colin Albert, a nephew, and Chris Albert's son, which I don't know what the deal is with him. I don't understand how he's involved, but he was supposedly at the house. And they're all trying to say he left. Everyone at the party is trying to say he left the party. But the defense is trying to say that he didn't leave the party and something happened between Colin and John. And everyone's trying to cover that up. I don't know. Also with the dog situation, okay, so Brian Albert, this is very confusing because everyone's related, okay? There's also other family members that were there. But Brian Albert, supposedly, according to his testimony, went upstairs and got the dog Chloe, brought her downstairs, took her outside to go to the bathroom, and he said in his testimony that he let the dog stay downstairs with everybody at the party, and the dog was fine. Now, the non-family member that testified that she saw supposedly the blob in the snow, she said that Brian Albert went upstairs to get Chloe, had her by the collar, took her downstairs, let her out, and brought her back upstairs. Okay, which is it? Did he let her stay downstairs with the family, or did he take her back upstairs? I don't know what the heck is happening with their stories. Also, where their stories are all mixing up is, how could you see? Everyone's saying that they were in the kitchen dining area. There's a lot of people there. I mean, there's 12 to 15 people at this house easily. And they're all saying that they're in the kitchen dining area, and there's music playing there, and they're seemingly saying that they have their eyes on everyone. But they've been drinking. Some of these people have been at this house like all day, drinking all day into the night. And I just am finding it very strange. Now, she even says, even after she claims that she sees this black blob in the snow, and it's snowing pretty heavily, obviously, right? They're saying it's a blizzard. And she says she sees this black blob, but yet she can't remember if she brought her own Michelob Ultras to the party, how many she had, who all left at what time and when. It was 2.5 years ago. She can't possibly remember what they talked about in the vehicle when she left. But then all of a sudden she remembered they were talking about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because there was peanut butter and jelly and bread in the vehicle. You guys, I'm telling you, the contradictions that they are making on the stand is just insane to me. And if I were on the jury, which, as you all know, I make myself an alternate juror, I would be like, you guys, this doesn't make any sense. None of you make any sense. I would be so confused if I were a juror. And now I understand why the judge cuts these days short, because the testimonies are just unreal. Unreal. So, the reason why my video name makes no sense is because their testimonies make no sense. So, here is what, at this point, if I were an alternate, if I were a juror on this jury, at this point, I'm thinking, the prosecution they have no case. This is a joke. And this is why I feel so badly for John O'Keefe's family. What I believe possibly happened is John probably was going to go into the house, and because of the heavy snow, and there were cars in the driveway, and there was no place to pull into the driveway, Karen probably pulled up to the house. John got out, and she drove away, and he probably tripped over the curb because his body was found near the flagpole area and the fire hydrant. I feel like he quite possibly could have had a glass from the bar or something in his hand. He probably fell over the curb, hit his head on something, maybe the fire hydrant. Maybe he got somewhere. Maybe he was able to crawl. He wasn't able to ask for help because it was snowing and it was windy and everyone was in the house and no one even saw him, and he died in the yard. Just died. I don't think there was anything nefarious or intentional or crazy that happened. The scratches I can't explain. Maybe that was, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of logically. Okay. Or this is like that Kansas City Chiefs football party, okay, where the 3 guys died in the backyard, okay, which is really questionable. That's weird. Or he did make it into the house and something did happen. Something did go down. I still want the dog left out of it. But maybe something did happen, and maybe, maybe they tried to hide it in the snow. I don't know. That still doesn't make any sense to me. But maybe they're all just scrambling because they don't want to explain why there's a dead dude in their front yard. I do find it strange, okay, because they did ask Brian Albert, like, you never got out of bed when there's cop cars and ambulance and fire truck in your front yard? He's like, no. I mean, they're like, you're a first responder. You didn't think to get up and go see what's going on in your front yard? And he's like, no. They're like, where's your phone at? And he's like, my phone's in bed with me. Is your phone on? Like, well, it could have been on silent. It could have been, you don't have your phone plugged in. Well, I keep it in bed with me in case my kids call and need something. Okay, but you didn't, think to have your phone on. But the first person he calls when he finds out about this stuff happening in his front yard is his best friend, Brian Higgins, who is also involved in this. So they have a lot of communication back and forth. He's also a cop. So crazy, crazy, crazy story. All of these people have the exact same story when the prosecution questions them. But when the defense questions them, suddenly their stories are, I don't remember, which is also the exact same story. So it just doesn't make any sense. Now, it could be John just naturally fell over, hit his head, and died in the snow. Could be a possibility. I don't know if the prosecution has even thought of that, or anyone has even thought of that. Or he did make it into the party. Maybe they lured him to the house because apparently, according to them, none of them were friends with him. They just were acquaintances, but none of them were friends with him, even though the Alberts have house sat for him, even though they're Boston police officers together, even though, they treated Karen like, she was one of their friends after she lost him. I mean, crazy. But they barely knew her. Apparently, they didn't know her enough to even be chatting with her at the bar, but there's video of them chatting it up. So it makes no sense. Or even though there was supposedly no taillight pieces found at the scene at the time, there was nothing, no evidence of anything, no tire marks, nothing. Even after they leaf blowed all the snow to the grass, they found nothing underneath the snow. She hit him. So I don't know why this case has even made it through the grand jury, but a lot of the testimony these people are giving today, the day they are testifying, is the first time they've ever said some of the things they're saying. So I find it hard to believe that this has not been dismissed or the judge is allowing this, even because a lot of the testimony they're saying, the judge allows them to give I guess this time, I'm just estimating this. You're not allowed to do that. But she's allowing it with the prosecution, but she does not allow it with the defense. That is crazy. So I'm guessing we left around 1:45. I'm guessing he was there, or I think it was a Tahoe, or I think it was a Suburban. No, you're not supposed to do that. But when the defense gets up there and they start guessing or estimating or whatever, then she's like, no guessing, no estimate. If you know, you know. You don't, you don't. What? And you're also not allowed to say what someone else has said. That's hearsay. You can't say that. You can only say what you said. You can't say what someone said to you. You can't say what you heard someone say to someone else. You can't do that. But she's allowing these people to just go on and on and on with their answers to the prosecution. But to the defense, she's like, you can't say that. So I feel like the judge is just a little bit giving a little more rope to the prosecution because she knows their case is garbage. So, yeah. That is my scoop on the Karen Read trial. I was getting bored, I'll be honest with you. But I will tell you, if you can look at it like a movie, look at it like Copland, look at it like Street Kings, I'm telling you, you will see the corruption just spilling out by the boatloads. And you look at this family and you look at these people and you just hear what they're saying and really, really pay attention, because you'll catch little things here and there, and you'll catch the contradictions and you'll catch the lies, and you'll realize, what are you hiding? If you didn't do anything wrong, what are you hiding? If he just fell in your yard and died, he fell in your yard and died. But what are you hiding? Why has everybody got to get this story together? What's going on? So I feel like they all have a story that they all matched up and they all got together, and something happened. I don't know what, but for some reason, Karen is being railroaded and John is being forgotten. And that's really, really sad. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Tomorrow, Christopher Gregor is back on trial. They will be coming back with everything to get justice for Corey. So I hope that you guys will be looking forward to that recap. And I will be recapping about Karen Read. And I have not been on here for a few days, so you do get 3 facts about South Korea. It is still Asian Heritage Month. So the 3 facts about South Korea, since we are on a crime channel. Number 1, cops in South Korea have to check out their weapons when they go on duty, and most of the rounds they have in their weapons are blanks because they don't normally shoot their guns. They actually try not to shoot their guns. When they catch a criminal, the criminal actually has the right to show their face or not show their face, because in Asian culture, you have the right to save face. So unfortunately, though, the victims don't have that option. Also, in South Korea, you are more likely to get cussed out than you are to have anything stolen, to get any violent attack, or to actually be shot or anything violent. There are very rare violent crimes there, because there's no guns. There are knives, so there are some stabbings, obviously. But as far as any violent crimes, it's one of the lowest crime rates in the world. And you can leave your laptop or your iPad or your phone or wherever in a public place, and it won't get picked up by anyone. Actually, people around where you leave it will keep an eye on it for you. So there you have it. 3 fun facts about South Korea. So happy Asian Heritage Month, and stay tuned for a new video. And I thank you very much. And 감사합니다 means thank you in Korean. I will see you in the next video.